Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Dell Precision 5520. I'm going to take you on a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access or upgrade when you're in. So first thing, power down your computer, make sure that it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip your computer over to access the bottom case screws. Now this computer has a total of 10 screws around the outside edge. You also need to use a small flat pry tool near the blue arrow to pop this panel up, where you will find two additional screws. After taking all those screws out, you're going to take a small flat pry tool. It's generally best to start near one of the back two corners. You're going to pry up the bottom case from the rest of the computer. You're going to work your way down the sides to the front. Be careful not to put the pry tool too far in. You could damage some internal components. Just keep it on the edge, go nice and slow but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. After you do, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your computer project, as well as any of the replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model computer, I will have a link above, also below in the description, and it will be a list of all the tools and supplies, as well as the replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always best to unplug your battery first. Computers are safer to work on when as little power as possible is running through them. The battery is right here, runs along the bottom of my screen. Now the stock battery for this computer is 11.4 volt, 56 watt hour, and comes with part number RRCGW. However, the battery you see here is an upgraded battery. This one is a 97 watt hour battery and comes with the part number 6GTPY. I will have all that battery information below in the description for your reference, but I will also have both batteries in that list I told you about with all of the tools, supplies, upgrade, and replacement parts for this model computer. The battery is held in by screws next to the red arrows and plugs into the motherboard near the blue arrow. To unplug it from the motherboard, you would pull the plug down out of that port. However, be careful when pulling on wires or cables in a computer. If you pull too hard, you could damage them, and sometimes you could pull them right out of the plug. So if at all possible, just manipulate the plug as much as you can. Use a pry tool or your fingernails to wiggle that out of that port so you don't damage the wires. One thing to mention about this operation, if you are here because your computer is not turning on, it could be a bad battery. You may have to replace it, but keep in mind that most laptops should still turn on and work with a bad battery as long as the charger is plugged in and working. So if your computer is not turning on, there could be something else wrong other than just a bad battery. If you would like help troubleshooting your issue, I will have a video tutorial link above, also below in the description, and that will be the full troubleshooting process I use in my shop to find out why a laptop's not turning on and how to fix it. Your RAM is right here near the blue arrows. This computer takes SODIMM DDR4 RAM at 2400 megahertz. The max RAM capacity listed for this computer is 32 gigabytes. However, because of the CPU, this computer may be able to take a higher amount of RAM. Below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the tools and supplies, replacement and upgrade parts, I will have several different RAM options to choose from. I will have an 8 gigabyte stick of RAM in case you're looking to just replace one that went bad and you're not looking to spend more than you have to. I will also have two different 16 gigabyte kits, which would be two 8 gigabyte sticks. One will be on the cheaper side. The other set that's a little more expensive is considered a higher quality of RAM. I will also have a couple different 32 gigabyte kits. Same thing. One will be on the cheaper end, one will be more expensive, and that's in case you want to really max out the RAM, see if the computer can take more RAM. The way to operate RAM, you see two spring-loaded metal arms on either side of the RAM stick near the red arrows. The way to get the RAM out is you would gently pry those apart from each other, away from the RAM stick. The RAM will then release. It'll often pop up a little bit, and then you can pull it out of that port. To get the RAM stick back in, if you'll notice near the blue arrows, There's a long section to the plug and a short section. So you can only get the RAM stick in one way. You can't put it in upside down. Once you get it in, get it nice and lined up and flush. Make sure the gold section near the green arrow, make sure that's nice and even along the length of the port. Once it is, you just press down on the RAM stick and the metal arms will latch onto it and hold it in place. As far as storage, this section of your computer has two different storage ports. The red arrow is pointing at your M.2 solid state drive. This is the talking intro. This is the larger 2280 size drive. You remove the screw near the blue arrow, and then you can pull that drive out of the green arrow port. Many of you will have either a 256 gigabyte drive or a 500 gigabyte drive stock in this computer. So what I'll do below in that link I told you about with all of the tools and supplies and parts for this computer, I will have a 500 gigabyte solid state drive if you're looking to just replace yours but not spend more than you have to. But I will also have an upgraded 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and a 4 terabyte drive to fit into that port if you want to upgrade. This red arrow is pointing towards a port on your motherboard for a ribbon cable that can be used to connect an additional 2.5-inch SATA hard drive or solid state drive. If you have the smaller battery size, then you'll have an empty, unused area of your computer right under that solid state drive where you can put a 2.5-inch SATA drive there. So below in that link with all of those replacement and upgrade parts, I will include several solid state drives that would fit into that SATA port, but I'll also include several hard drives that will fit into that SATA port. For the solid state drives, I will have a 450 gigabyte, a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and 4 terabyte size. And for the hard drives, I will have a 500 gigabyte, a 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and 4 terabyte. And one quick word of advice about how to manage your storage, especially when money is a factor. A lot of people find it beneficial to use a smaller solid state drive paired with a larger hard drive. Because as you know, solid state drives are more expensive than hard drives. So what they'll do is they'll take a small solid state drive, maybe 500 gigabytes or smaller, and they'll use that to run their operating system, which ensures that their computer generally runs very quickly. And then for their second storage port, they'll spend the money on a much larger hard drive, maybe 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, for their long-term bulk storage. So again, just one suggestion on a way that you can operate storage if money is a factor. And if you were interested in learning more about the difference between hard drives and various kinds of solid-state drives, there will be a video link below in the description, and that will be kind of a quick intro into how they're different from each other when you may want one over the other. This computer has two speakers near the red arrows. They're both screwed into the motherboard using two screws. After taking those screws out, you'll be able to get the speakers up. Now, the left-hand speaker does not plug into the motherboard itself. The left speaker is wired to the right speaker near the blue arrow, and the right-hand speaker plugs into the motherboard. As you see in this picture, the right-hand speaker is wired near the red arrow and plugs into the motherboard near the blue arrow. Now be very careful with the speaker wires. They're exceptionally small and very fragile, and if you pull them too hard, they could come out of the plug or be damaged. And as an extra side note, if you are having sound quality issues in your computer, if your sound is not consistent across different platforms, try updating your drivers first and trying to fix it that way before assuming that it's a speaker issue and trying an invasive repair like this. I will have a video tutorial link below in the description, also above in the video, and it will show you how to make sure your drivers are updated so you can rule that out first. The Wi-Fi card is noted near the red arrow. You would remove the screw noted by the blue arrow, and that Wi-Fi card will release, and then you can take it out of that port. I will have all the Wi-Fi card specifications below in the description if you would like help finding a replacement, but I will also try to have a replacement option for you in that list I told you about with all of the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model computer. As a side note, if you are having issues in your computer where you cannot see any Wi-Fi networks, you can't access your Wi-Fi options, that's most likely a system driver issue. It's probably not a Wi-Fi card issue. I will have a video tutorial link below in the description, also above in the video, and that will help you troubleshoot that before coming in here to try an invasive repair like this. Now, this computer has two fans near the red arrows. After unscrewing those fans, you would unplug them near the blue arrows. Be very careful with these wires. They're very thin, very fragile, and if you pull on them too hard or incorrectly, they can easily be damaged or come out of the plug. So try to use your fingernails or a pry tool, something to wiggle that plug out of the port instead of pulling on the wires. If you are here just to replace a fan, then now you can get your fans up. I will try to have some fan replacement options for you in that link I mentioned with the tools and supplies and replacement parts below in the description. If you're here to further clean out your computer, maybe you're just doing some cleaning maintenance, or maybe you're dealing with an overheating computer. Either way, after taking your fans up, you'll be able to blow them out, vacuum them out really well. You probably also want to reapply thermal paste near the green arrows. If you are dealing with overheating, you probably also want to apply thermal paste. Keep in mind that once you take up your heatsink for any reason and you expose that thermal paste to air, it does need to be reapplied. If you need help with that operation, there will be a video tutorial link below in the description. It'll show you how to fix an overheating laptop. And one of the things it will show you, in addition to how to clean out your fans, is how to reapply thermal paste. It will show you how to clean off all the old thermal paste because you don't want to put new paste on top of old paste. It'll also show you how to apply the correct amount of new thermal paste. If you apply too little, obviously it won't do its job. If you apply too much, you could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So again, that video tutorial will be below it in the description if you need it. And I guess as a last thing to mention about the thermal paste, not all thermal pastes are created equal. Generally speaking, the cheaper stuff will do a good job, but the more expensive stuff will do a better job. So I will try to have two thermal paste options for you below in the description in that list of all the tools and supplies. Another thing that I'll mention here are these ribbon cables that you may encounter as you try to move various components. You'll see one example near the red arrow. Those black clips that hold those ribbon cables down are very fragile and very easy to break. And if you break them, you're probably not going to be able to find a replacement, which means that your ribbon cables may never secure down well again. So when you're operating those, be very careful. The way to operate them is to use a small, very, very flat pry tool, slide it up in the direction of the red arrow underneath the black clip. You then gently pry it up to release the ribbon cable. The clip will open like a book cover. It will open on the end of the red arrow, and its hinges are on the upper end near the blue arrow. And once you open that like a book cover, you'll be able to slide out that ribbon cable. And then I always put down that clip so it doesn't get caught on anything because, again, you really, really don't want to break those. But that's the end of the video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, check out the FAQs below in the description. It could save you some time getting an answer. If you do need to leave me a question or comment, please feel free. I do try to get to those a couple times a day at least. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.